a hired assassin with the codename Jackal, is tasked with eliminating a well-guarded IT specialist by a set deadline. Complicating the mission are agents of British intelligence who are hot on his trail. The series begins in Munich, where an elderly man rehearses certain phrases in front of a mirror. In reality, this is a disguised assassin who has stolen the old man's appearance and eliminated him. That evening, the assassin heads to work as a janitor in an office building. While preparing to carry out the mission, he encounters a secretary who becomes his first victim. A security guard hears the noise and goes to investigate, forcing the assassin to open fire. The Jackal is chasing his target, young socialite Elias Fest, who flees down the stairs. The assassin's experience, skills, and exceptional aim allow him to wound the target in the leg. Catching up to him, the Jackal fires a second shot, then deliberately misses near the victim's head. Heading to a balcony, he throws down smoke grenades, then rappels down and blends into the crowd. At his safe house, he removes his disguise and contemplates something while looking in the mirror. The next day, he assembles a sniper rifle in his hotel room. The Jackal carefully surveys the area through his scope, studying the positions of military snipers on rooftops and security at the entrance to a hospital. After adjusting his scope, he waits. Soon, a car carrying Manfred Fest, a potential future chancellor, arrives at the hospital to visit his injured son. As the politician exits the car, the Jackal pulls the trigger, and seconds later, the target falls. The Jackal swiftly packs up his rifle, plants a bomb under a bed, and leaves before the police arrive. After getting into a car, he lets a police convoy pass and switches vehicles in an underground garage. When a SWAT team finds his apartment, the bomb detonates, destroying the evidence, along with the car he left behind. This event catches the attention of MI6 agent Bianca in London. She is astonished to learn that the shot was fired from a distance of 3,815 meters, far exceeding the officially confirmed record of 3,540 meters. Analyzing video footage, Bianca concludes that the Jackal possesses a unique rifle custom-made by Irish gunsmiths. She decides to involve her informant in the case. Meanwhile, the Jackal receives a new contract offering $10 million to eliminate another target, a billionaire IT entrepreneur named Uli Charles. Charles' project aims to make all financial transactions transparent and expose owners of illicit wealth, threatening the capitalist order. The Jackal demands the reward be increased to $100 million. After negotiations, the Jackal returns to his villa in Spain, where his wife Nuria awaits. He contacts the client in Munich regarding payment, but the transfer is cancelled, and the client decides to dispose of the Jackal. Concerned about his reputation, the Jackal decides to handle the matter personally. He goes to the bank to clarify the details of the cancelled payment, leaving his son's birthday celebration for this purpose. His wife drives him to the airport, after which he takes a taxi to retrieve a fake passport from a safe deposit box. During the process, his wife notices the taxi and suspects her husband of infidelity. The Jackal travels to Munich, where Zina contacts him to arrange a new meeting to discuss details. During the meeting, the Jackal learns that her associates have decided to withhold the $100 million, offering instead an advance payment of $20 million on the condition that the target is eliminated before the launch of the River program. They also agree on coded symbols for communication. The Jackal goes to the bank and uncovers the name of a company. His search leads him to a shell corporation whose board includes Elias, the son of the assassinated politician. The Jackal suspects him of ordering the hit. Bianca, using video recordings, creates a profile of the suspect, a white man under 50 years old, right-handed, a former British military member, and an exceptional marksman. To locate him, she decides to comb through military academy archives. With information from an informant, she heads to Belarus, where the gunsmith had been hiding. The operation is conducted covertly, but the gunsmith, having prepared in advance, booby-trapped all his hideouts. Bianca receives a warning from her superiors about a potential mole in her team. A technician reveals that the gunsmith's phone contained regular calls to the Jackal. In Munich, the Jackal continues his mission. Disguised, he enters a funeral home to gain access to the computer of Manfred Fest's funeral organizer. Finding the right employee, He assumes their identity after eliminating them. The Jackal's wife, Nuria, grows suspicious. She checks her husband's office and discovers a hidden safe and a concealed room behind a mirror. Inside, she finds a lab for creating disguises, piles of cash, forged passports, and weapons. At Manfred Fest's funeral, the family argues over the inheritance. When a car carrying Elias's sister leaves the estate, the Jackal takes the driver's seat. Threatening her, he demands answers from the client. Elias admits he ordered his father's assassination, but was angered by the injury he sustained himself. After a brief exchange, the Jackal kills Elias, activates a bomb in the trunk, and heads for the metro, noticing through surveillance cameras that his family has breached the lab. As he leaves Munich, the Jackal accidentally collides with a courier van. The driver calls the police. An officer notices the Jackal's bag containing weapons and cash, escalating the situation into a shootout. The Jackal kills both the driver and the officer, staging the scene to look like a conflict between them. The Jackal calls Nuria and invites her to Paris to settle things. After erasing traces from the car, he meets his wife at a hotel and admits he has been deceiving her all along. He claims to be involved in industrial espionage for billionaires, insisting that the weapons are just in case. The Jackal assures her that this final job will secure their future, asking her to wait just 2 more weeks. "We'll be together, and we'll have a wonderful life ahead," the Jackal reassures Nuria, who naively believes yet another lie. Meanwhile, Bianca continues her search for the elusive sniper. A shooting instructor reluctantly tells her about a former soldier, Dagan, who could hit a target from nearly 4 kilometers. However, he claims Dagan died 10 years ago. Just to be sure, Bianca asks her assistant to verify the information. Later, she suggests to her superior, Isabel, that they bring in her old friend Vince, whom she trusts. Over a beer, Bianca confides in Vince that she has a lead on the Jackal's next target, but hesitates to share it due to data leaks within the team. The Jackal arrives in Tallinn, where Charles is set to present his River program. The assassin attends a concert to test the entry control system and assess the venue from the inside. During his inspection, he ascends to the technical rooms, breaking a lock, and climbs onto retractable panels. From there, he gets a perfect view of the stage, an ideal sniping position. Suddenly, the technicians activate the panels, and the Jackal nearly falls, catching himself on a cable. Dangling from the ceiling, he drops his phone but eventually climbs back up. In the hall, he asks security guard Rasmus for help finding his phone. In an empty room, he manages to retrieve the device, now cracked but functional. Striking up a friendly conversation, the Jackal saves the number of his new acquaintance. Returning to his hotel room, the Jackal encounters Zina, who has somehow tracked him down. She informs him that his revenge against Elias Fest did not sit well with her associates. She hints that people with significant financial power dislike such surprises. Zina advises him to consult the gunsmith stock. The Jackal flies to Budapest, where the injured stock is hiding. Together they design a collapsible sniper rifle using a 3D printer, which can be disguised as an orthopedic boot. While the printer produces the parts, the Jackal asks Stock about his injury. Stock admits he was being hunted by MI6 agents but managed to escape after being warned by someone. The next day, after assembling the rifle, they test it. On an empty field, the Jackal calibrates the weapon by using a watermelon as a target. He successfully adjusts it for precision shooting, but Stock reminds him that the rifle is effectively disposable due to its material and can only withstand a maximum of 8 shots. Soon after, Bianca and Vince track down Stock's hideout through his brother, who was arrested. They arrive to apprehend the gunsmith. The Jackal warns Stock, but he doesn't have time to prepare. After a brief shootout, the agents capture Stock and begin interrogating him. Using the newly assembled rifle, the Jackal eliminates Stock to prevent him from revealing anything. The agents fire at the sniper, but the Jackal takes cover in a nearby stable, mounts a horse, and rides into the forest. Bianca gives chase, but in the woods the assassin injures her partner and jumps into a river. Soaked, he finds a farmer's barn and tries to sleep in the hay, but is discovered by the farmer, who has a shotgun. The farmer knocks him unconscious and calls his brother the next morning to decide what to do with the captive. Upon learning that a dangerous criminal is being sought in the area, the brother decides to turn the Jackal in for a reward. The Jackal overpowers the farmers and takes Laszlo hostage, forcing him to help him reach the city. In Budapest, he calls his wife Nuria, asking her to bring items from his stash and admitting that he may never return home. Nuria reaches the hotel and witnesses her husband transform into an elderly man with an orthopedic boot using makeup. After saying goodbye to his wife at the airport, the Jackal, with the help of an airport employee, boards a flight to Tallinn. On the same flight are agents Bianca and Vince, sent by their superiors to protect Yuli Charles, who is believed to be the Jackal's next target. The agents sit near the disguised Jackal, who recognizes them and eavesdrops on their conversation. In Tallinn, after checking into a hotel, the Jackal removes his makeup. When police knock on his door, reporting a theft on the floor above, he remains unnoticed. He then calls the concert hall security guard to invite him for a drink and temporarily leaves his compromised hiding place. After a night out at the bar, the Jackal accompanies Rasmus to his home. The next morning, he goes to a library to find blueprints of the concert hall. While there, he meets with Xena and asks her to deal with the MI6 agents so they won't interfere. With copies of the plans in hand, the Jackal brings them to Rasmus's apartment, posing as an architect. Impressed by the scale of the project, the security guard offers to give the guest a tour of the hall while it's still open. While Rasmus chats with colleagues, the Jackal uses his access card to sneak onto the roof. He inspects ventilation and technical openings, searching for the ideal ambush spot. Afterward, he tells Rasmus he's leaving and takes his belongings from the apartment. That evening, he returns to the concert hall, now disguised as a guest with an orthopedic boot. Having purchased everything necessary, he climbs from the corridors to the roof, descends into the ventilation system, and sets up his ambush. The day of the presentation arrives. The hall fills with guests and VIPs, with Yuli Charles being the last to arrive. When the host appears on stage to introduce the modern-day genius, the Jackal gets to work. He crawls into position, carrying the rifle assembled from the boot. Along the way, he silently eliminates a security guard and a technician with a makeshift knife made from a sharpened plastic card. Hidden among the spotlights, he waits for Charles to appear. However, due to maneuvers, the target manages to dodge, and the shot misses. Bianca immediately suspects that there were two shooters. The agents are ordered to block all exits, but the organizers fail to control the panicked crowd. The Jackal easily escapes with the mob. In the crowd, he is recognized by Rasmus, but the assassin swiftly eliminates the witness. Afterward, the agents find the Jackal's ambush. Meanwhile, his photo is shown on television to make his escape more difficult. Seeing the image, Nuria calls her husband. He promises to return soon and asks her not to tell anyone about the resemblance to the composite sketch. With no further leads, Bianca requests the file on the famous sniper Dagan. However, it is classified. Chief Isabel has to use her connections with the Minister of Foreign Affairs to gain access to the Minister of Defense. Only after that do the agents receive the file under a non-disclosure agreement. The file reveals nothing significant. Dagan served in special forces and died with his squad during a mission. However, a flashback reveals the true story. Dagan was an army sniper assigned to eliminate the leader of a Taliban faction. Afterward, his unit receives leave in Cyprus, where they are offered to become mercenaries. They successfully complete their first mission, but further service in the army interferes with their plans. During another mission, Dagan decides to eliminate his squad, making it look like an accident. He and his partner Harry disappear to start a new life. After learning this from Dagan's former commander, Bianca concludes that Harry also survived. However, Isabel unexpectedly orders the investigation to be closed, unwilling to waste resources and personnel chasing a ghost. Posing as a hired killer, he says, "I kill for money. Is that what you want to hear? Yes, enough." Promising to quit after finishing the job, he gathers his belongings. The situation becomes complicated when the brother-in-law appears. The wife's brother had signed her up for investments in a business run by a ruthless Cuban gangster and had already arranged a meeting. Realizing that the hitman husband isn't as dangerous as the foolish brother, who even took money from the family budget, the wife complains to the Jackal. He promises to handle it. He arranges the meeting with the brother-in-law and then rents a boat from an acquaintance. They wait for him at the seaside hotel, but he is delayed. At that moment, the Cuban unexpectedly falls face first into his plate, shot in the head. Meanwhile, the Jackal, several kilometers away in a boat on the waves, makes a precise shot. This event attracts Bianca's attention as the news spreads quickly. Returning to Croatia, the Jackal hires another captain and heads to the necessary location. He eliminates the captain to prevent any questions, then prepares his equipment. IT specialist Charles, going on his usual boat trip, becomes the target, but the waves from an accidental boat disrupt the stabilization, forcing the assassin to pause. The security notices the suspicious boat via a drone and sends a jet ski to check. The Jackal spends a precious bullet to remove the obstacle, then activates electronic warfare equipment to disable the drone, which draws the attention of the security. The IT specialist is swimming toward the shore, but the Jackal calculates where he will surface and shoots again. His bullet hits exactly when Charles emerges from the water. After completing the mission, the assassin heads to land. He is pursued by the police, but he expertly evades them through narrow alleyways until an accident occurs. Turning to avoid running over a child, the Jackal flies off the road and the car flips. A truck driver helps him, but the Jackal, threatening him with a gun, takes the vehicle and its equipment. Reaching a deserted area, he burns the truck, then finds an elderly couple at a campsite. Pretending to be a victim, he asks for a ride to the hospital. On the road, the Jackal changes plans, forcing them to drive toward the border. Near the border, suspecting they might try to draw attention, the Jackal is forced to eliminate the couple, even though he hadn't initially planned to do so. Confused and frustrated, he calls his wife to inform her that he has finished his tasks. Before continuing his journey, the Jackal pours some gasoline into a microwave with a deodorant can, creating an improvised bomb. The RV explodes in the forest as the Jackal, with a suitcase in hand, walks along the road to London. Bianca asks Isabel to allow her to go to Spain, suspecting that the Jackal is hiding there. The murder of the gangster closely resembles the elimination of Uli Charles, but the scale of the event hints at a personal vendetta. However, the chief orders the investigation to be halted. After refusing to comply, Bianca is fired. Isabel is visited by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who works closely with American magnates, the Jackal's employers. They want to clean up all the loose ends. First, Bianca must track down and kill the killer, then she herself will be eliminated. Isabel is forced to ask her subordinate to return and finish the job, but secretly, so no one knows. Taking her loyal Vince, Bianca heads to Spain. In Spain, they find the Jackal's house and begin to watch it, waiting for his return. In the evening, they see the killer's wife fleeing with a child in a taxi. Soon, the Jackal himself appears. Not finding his wife at home, he realizes she has fled, but his thoughts are interrupted by a call from his contact, Zena. The employers have sent killers after her as well, to eliminate all witnesses. Zena warns the Jackal that he is being hunted by hitmen in Spain. The Jackal prepares for defense, unaware that MI6 agents have already infiltrated his house. They are distracted by the unexpected arrival of a drunk brother-in-law who came to talk with his sister. The unwelcome guest pulls out a gun and a shootout begins. Hearing the gunshots, the Jackal turns off the lights in the house. In response, Bianca activates the fire alarm, trying to force him out of hiding. The killer emerges from hiding and opens fire from above on the agents, killing Vince. Bianca returns fire until the Jackal disables the alarm. In a tense standoff, she offers him a deal. In exchange for information about the employers, she will help him reunite with his family. But the Jackal decides to handle it himself, and sneaking around her, kills her with a single shot. Afterward, he rushes to the airport, trying to call his wife. The Jackal doesn't know that his wife has thrown her phone in the trash. His call is interrupted when a car crashes into his vehicle from the side. In London, Isabel speaks with Ositi, telling him about her promotion. He is concerned about the death of 2 agents, but she reminds him that Bianca didn't follow orders, leading to the tragic outcome. After leaving her office, Ositi reads a message from Bianca, in which she reveals that Isabel sent her to eliminate the Jackal. Sighing, he deletes the message. In a European city, the Jackal exits a tram, dressed in a stylish suit with a scratched face. He calmly walks past the police to a bench in the square, where Zena is waiting for him. They have a common enemy, who not only failed to pay the promised 100 million, but also wants them dead. But first, the Jackal needs to resolve his family issues. This concludes the first season.